It's New Brew Thursday! Woo! And we have Todd here.
A very tall man.
How we doing?
Very tall man, very large man, very menacing man.
Somebody has to be.
Yeah. So
Keep people in mind.
Todd is one of the most phenomenal brewers that I've had the pleasure of drinking his beer.
Me too.
And I say that because, like, before I get into my rave about you, you are the head brewer of Copper Canyon Brewing in Michigan.
It's Southfield, Michigan.
Southfield, Michigan is about 20 20 minutes from Detroit.
Well, it's almost on the 11 mile, if that gives people a reference, because they know the 8.
So you'll want to buy a plane
miles.
ticket to Detroit and then drive over to his brewery as soon as you get done watching this episode.
Yeah, because they don't bottle.
They don't bottle except for us because we're special. Just saying.
I'm a slacker.
Yeah, and and your beers are the first that I've ever had that when you call it what it is, you definitely get that flavor.
Yeah.
Like, I've had some chocolate stouts where I'm like, yeah, you probably should take chocolate out of the name of this.
Right.
But then I had your chocolate stout, and it was like drinking a melted Hershey bar. And it was like amazing.
Yeah. what Steve is referring to is we were at the, what was it in Chicago?
Craft
Brewers.
Conference.
Yeah, and that's where we actually met Todd in person. And it was, I don't know, the second day we were there, and it was 10 in the morning. He shows up with a backpack full of beer, and there's a chocolate stout in there, and it's like, you want to try the chocolate stout? And it's 10 in the morning, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah, and it's 10 in the morning, and we're hungover, and it's like, yeah,
So he pours
sure.
it, and I drink it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking great. I want some more, and it was perfect.
And even like your apple strudel triple is, you can taste, it tastes like you're drinking a liquid apple strudel. It's amazing.
It's pretty trippy.
So,
I try and have some fun concoctions here and there, so it's all a matter of different things, the different tastes for different things, and sometimes it's closer to things, and it's just a descriptor sometimes too that helps make people put the two and two together for the flavors too.
It kind of points you in the right direction.
point your brain where it needs to be going.
Maybe you should be thinking about this when you drink this because it may just taste like this kind of thing.
So not to open up a huge can of worms, but you did send us your resume, and I know you have masters in biology. Do you ever use any of your biology when you're brewing?
Well, I mean, brewing is biology to some extent, but then I still have to do other things too. But I mean, I culture yeast sometimes. I bring up yeast. I have to know how different enzymes work and other things like that with the mashing chemistry and stuff like that. So
is it more of like just nice to know the background, or is it more like this actually helps?
It helps to some extent, but a lot of brewing is getting a feel for things and just doing it because I mean that's the best thing you can do.
Brewing is like 80% science and 20% just like Willy Wonka. Like, let's see what happens if you do this.
It's a craft.
Well,
it's an art. It's where art and science truly meet. In my opinion.
It's you have different opinions. Like with the Belgians, sort of see it as an art, whereas the Germans see it as a science. But there's a little of both because you got to be able to reproduce what you do sometimes. I mean, you look at the brewery, and I know you guys love the brewery. They do a very good job at reproducing some crazy stuff. In my neck of the woods, we have Ron Jeffries at Jolly Pumpkin, who makes some excellent beers. Yeah. And to try and do something like that consistently and dealing with sour and wild microflora is just amazing.
You brought us a large beer and a little baby beer. So what is this? This is your new.
This is
your new
my
one, right?
Saison. It's called l'été, which
Saison
means
l'été.
summer in French, or because the Saisons are traditionally produced in the Hainaut region of Belgium, which is the French-speaking side. This one is actually tried to make it very summery, so I have actually some chamomile flowers in it. I also add some lemon peel, and I used some Soriachi Ace, which is a sort of a rare Japanese hop that also gives a sort of lemony character. Garrett Oliver at Brooklyn Brewing has recently brought out some to make it. They have a Soriachi Ace beer, which makes it a little more fun. So,
well, I'm gonna go ahead and pour while you're talking.
Okay.
Wow, that's filled to the brim.
That is full.
And
And apparently, I am not capable of pouring beer.
Adventures in pouring beer.
so,
Just so you know, that went all over my leg and not your carpet.
and I'm happy to see that. I was kind of worried, just being that it got sent through airplanes.
It definitely has a lot of
and cars
carbonations. That's
and-
good.
That I was,
In the growler,
It looks great.
It does look amazing, actually.
Well, thanks.
Smells great. Wow.
There's a little bit of coriander, some black pepper also in there, just to give it a little spicy zing. But I didn't want to push it too much. I used the Belgian Schoof yeast, the Schoof brewery's yeast, to give it a nice fermented upwards of 80 degrees just to get that total fermentation to try and get down the final gravity. So it's very nice, about 5.5%. You know, got nice.
Wow, it's got a great flavor on it.
Can we get a cheers to Todd?
Cheers to Todd.
Hey,
the
cheers
Copper
to,
Canyon.
hey, cheers to New Brew Thursday too. This is
Cheers to us.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We are awesome.
Cheers.
So, as usual, our wonderful producer Yvonne has made some delightful accoutrements for this.
She has produced food.
She has produced epicness. We're going to be having a sweet and spicy chicken with some like peppers and onions, and there's like these little awesome wonton crackers that make everything taste better.
Homemade wontons, dude.
This looks beautiful.
And I think she grew these limes herself.
And this, I
she
mean,
killed the chicken today. Like everything's just totally Yvonne. It's all
She didn't kill the chicken.
this, I mean, I'm not Dr. Bill, but this would be a great pairing with the latte, just because you got that sort of spiciness, the chicken that's sort of lighter, because it's not a real heavy beer.
No, it's not at all.
But it's very sessionable, but it's still got a lot of flavor to it.
It's got a lot of spice, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Amounts of
And-
spice to it. It's
You know, the
Definitely
caramel
like a clean spice.
yeah.
So
wow, that's good.
Yeah, this is gonna. I tasted the chicken beforehand, and this is gonna be rad.
Yvonne, if you're ever looking for work and I somehow get $1 million, just go ahead and you can be my personal chef. That'd be awesome.
this is delicious.
And the mics just totally pick up the groans and the moans. And oh my God.
Perfect with the chicken, dude.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Wow.
Even the aroma from the chicken and the Saison, the nice spicy aroma of the Saison really adds to what you're getting off of the chicken.
Yeah, and I think the lime, although if I would have told her that I had lemon peel in it, it might have been better to throw a lemon peel just to sort of, but I think the lime is very good with it, and
Definitely.
this chicken.
Oh yeah.
I'm a spicy fiend, so I gotta spice mine up a bit.
I'm afraid to put spice on it. I think it's perfect the way it is.
It is perfect the way it is, but I'm never afraid to put spice on anything.
Well, neither am I, but as far as pairing with the beer.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
You don't want it
with
to overpower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that this has a strong enough flavor profile on it that it can stand up to a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Okay, now I want to try it.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of a background while we're like noshing so that they can hear something besides us eating.
Yeah.
Give us a little background of like Copper Canyon and maybe a little bit about how you kind of got to that point.
Well, I've Copper Canyon's been around for almost 12 years now. We are in the Southfield location area of town, which is just a little bit northwest of downtown Detroit. Like I said, we're on 11 miles, sort of, right there by 696 and Telegraph for anyone who's driving the area. We've been around for a long time. I've been there about 2.5 years, a little more than 2.5 years. Before that, I was at another brew pub down in the Royal Oak area of Detroit. I replaced Bob Malone, who is now the head brewer for Flying Dog.
Oh, really?
So I know you guys had Matt Brophy on,
Yeah.
who's the vice president of brewing operations,
Right. An overall awesome dude.
Yeah, and but Bob Malone is the head brewer there, and he left there. He left Copper Canyon to go to that job. So
Wow.
we have a Munich Helles type Pilsner. We have an Alt. We have an IPA, an American IPA, very nice and hoppy. Lots of dry hops in there. And then we were rotating dark beer, whether we do a regular robust porter or a Java Stout. So then I have 3 house beers, 3 seasonals to play with. And sometimes I've had them where they're all Belgian sometimes, or I've had them, one time I had 2 9%ers and an 8%er on tap. It was a winter, so it helped out. But I enjoy, making different beers at times. And so one was like a double IPA, one was the Apple Strudel Triple, and one was actually a Belgian double I did for the inauguration, which was Belgian double with toasted coconut and raisins.
Oh, wow.
So it was
That
a
sounds
real
good.
neat, sort of unique. And the raisins and the coconut were just sort of settled in the background, but it was a nice sort of flavor to it.
Favorite beer you've ever brewed, and like worst mistake you've ever made brewing?
Ooh.
Starting with the favorite.
Starting with a favorite,
Favorite,
yes.
it's somebody's asked me this before, and I have to say they're like children. I have some different ones that are probably considered part of my favorites, and actually this latte is really growing on me because I'm really liking it. But it's still new; it's a new baby. You know, it might piss me
So
off.
it looks cute now. It looks cute now, but when it starts talking, then
Yeah.
Still wakes you up.
Might steal my car.
yeah, steal my car, and get pregnant. We're in the town, but. I've got to say the apple strudel triple's always been, I've been very proud of that. That one's really always come out. We'll have some of that later. The rye IPA was the one, the double IPA that I was telling about. My groundskeeper Willie's Secret Stash, which was a Scotch ale, I really enjoyed.
That's a cool name.
And the Ginger Kids Revenge was a good one too.
Ginger kids.
Yes. So, which was an Imperial Red. It's all, playing with things. My Shillelagh Stout, the chocolate stout, I really like that too. But as far as mistakes go,
You don't make mistakes, right?
mistakes. MIST.
he is the Jesus of brewing.
No, not that. I'm the Jesus maybe. But, I've had one where I made a Belgian double once at a different location that I used some star anise in. And I used a little too much. I calculated up from like an old homebrew recipe, and it was very black licoricey. So, at about 8.5%, it was sort of, you have people who love black licorice and people that hate it. A lot of people hate it. And
I'm going to say, like, if you gave me that beer, I'd be like, I love you, Todd. This beer I hate.
and with the small group of the people that love it, at an 8.5% beer, you can't drink a lot of it. And so I made a full batch.
With the aromas and the flavor profiles that your beer has, like it's very easy to pair your beer with food, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
And I know like your website has some suggestions, right?
Actually not as much. Right now we're still redeveloping some of the website issues. So usually actually what you got was something I posted. I usually post it out to our Mug Club members. Okay. I send it out to various regulars. I send it out. We have actually a craft beer in Michigan sort of e-group that has a lot of people in it, which is kind of cool. I send stuff out to them. So I try and get the word out to some extent. As far as it goes, we are redeveloping our website. So in the near future, it will have more information like that, and I will try and have that info. So
it's always nice when the brewer kind of provides a little bit of like, hey, this is what I think would go really good with this, because no one knows the beer better than you.
Right.
And I even try and include information on similar beers so that if somebody says, I like a Blue Moon, and you go, well, this is sort of similar to a Blue Moon, or, and so that people have a chance to try stuff. And for this one, I put Pissenlit and then Saison du Pont.
For the most part, you don't normally know what to pair, which is why we always do our weekly Master Pairings. So we're going to go ahead and check that out this week. And so we're going to go to that.
Hi everybody, welcome to another Master Pairings with me, Dr. Bill, and I have a special guest today.
Hi, I'm Laura Johnson, otherwise known as Darth Wife on Twitter.
So I'm kind of on this mission to teach people about the beer basics, and one of the beer basics I like are German lagers. This is Vitus, it's a Weihenstephaner, and it's a Weizenbock, which basically means it's a wheat beer that's a little bit bigger in alcohol. So it's full, robust. So go ahead and pour yourself some in that glass, and let's see what you think of it.
I'm kind of a beer newbie, so...
I just tip it at 45 degrees and gently pour it in. And then if it's not forming a head, I pour in the middle at the end, but this is pouring beautifully. So I just kind of stop as it kind of comes up, and it's got a beautiful 1.5-inch head, and beautiful stop, and golden. And you're good. All right, so... Cheers. Let's go ahead and try this. So it has a sweet component, but it's a little bit higher than alcohol than your regular Dunkelweiss or Hefeweizen. It's definitely got the wheat, but it's a little smoother. It's got this kind of subtle malt background, kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Just a little sweet. And, you know, I'm pairing this today with a couple of great things. I'm pairing this today, Germany meets Spain.
Okay.
I'm pairing this with a
interesting.
Spanish Manchego cheese, which is a great cheese with a lot of character. And I've done this beautiful pork butt. Yes, Steve and I said butt. And it's with some great German sauerkraut and some beautiful potatoes. And so I've cooked this for a long time. I've actually cooked it in a little beer. You could also do it in wine, but since we're kind of promoting beer, I'm pairing it with a great beer. So we're going to try both of these.
Oh, good.
So one of the things I'd like you to try first is this Manchego. So I'm going to cut a couple little slices off and just go ahead and help yourself. And what I always like to do is taste the beer first, which we did, and then taste the cheese, and then taste the beer again and see how it holds up.
Okay.
It brings out a lot of the wheat characteristics, the bubble gum, the clove, the banana.
Definitely. I can taste in the clove.
Okay.
Kind of more. And yeah, the wheat.
Those are all very valid flavor profiles in it, and I think it goes really well with this cheese.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and serve you a little bit of this and see. A little noisy there. A little of this very delicate roasted pork.
It looks very good. Falling apart.
Yes, it's definitely falling apart.
I do love good sauerkraut. So
Yes.
very.
This is some pretty good sauerkraut. I got it from the local German deli close by, so they definitely know what they're doing. And I rinsed it and cooked it down, and so it
See, I've never done a sauerkraut like I just the jar kind of thing.
Right.
So
Jar sauerkraut is just fine. What I like to do is I literally like to. Although it's interesting to have the liquid in it, I like to drain the liquid off because the liquid has a lot of the tart saltiness. And so if you rinse it, then you can take the sauerkraut, put it in a pan, little diced onions, maybe a little garlic, depends, a little salt and pepper, cook it so it gets a little browning and caramelization, and it brings out the sweetness. You could also put a little caraway seeds, that's pretty classic. You can also do a little white wine or beer with it, and it will bring out a little sweetness to it. So let me know what you think.
okay.
Pork's really good. I have a little coriander seeds in there, salt and pepper. That's basically it.
That's it. It's very good.
This beer is made for pork. German schnitzel, German sausages, pork tenderloin. All those things goes really well, holds up really well with the sauerkraut. And mashed potatoes. It's one of my favorite beers. This is a great beer. I think it just really holds up well with all these flavor characteristics.
Yeah.
I used to drink this in Germany quite often, and I'd have it with the schnitzel, different things like that. It's just amazing. So I think it holds up really nicely. What do you think?
I like it a lot. I like the smoothness of it, but yet it's like to go with the sauerkraut, and it holds up, like you said, to that.
Right. It holds up with all the components. You could do this with red cabbage. You can do this with all kinds of things, but it really is just a wonderful beer pairing for a lot of pork products. So I'm glad you made it here today, Laura.
I am too. This has been fun.
Well, cheers. Thanks for coming to another Master Pairing.
Thank you.
Cheers.
This week's signed copy of the Beer Wars DVD goes to our craft beer advocate, Stephen, from Fairfax, Virginia. Stephen writes, "Hey guys, just found your show a few weeks ago and I'm really enjoying it. I guess my craft beer advocate story actually started about 4 years ago when I had a macro-produced lager on my 21st birthday and absolutely hated it. I think it was probably about 2 years ago when I gave beer another shot. I had a Sam Adams Boston Lager and really enjoyed it, and really became hooked on craft beer. Probably the only thing more enjoyable than drinking craft beer is introducing people to it. I have a lot of friends who have told me multiple times that they don't like beer, so I decided to host a I don't like beer tasting party. And needless to say, everyone found at least one beer that they enjoyed drinking, and now they are avid craft beer drinkers. I also admire the passion that craft brewers put into their product. I know I'm not going to like everything I try, but that's the great thing about craft beer drinkers. Each one has his or her own personal taste, and I enjoy helping people figure out what their palate is. Cheers, Stephen, and thanks for sending this in. You can follow Stephen's beer journey at novabeerfly.blogspot.com. If you'd like to be our craft beer advocate of the week, send in your submission to advocate@newbrewthursday.com. We like emails, video, audio, whatever you want to send us in. Cheers.
Boom.
we are going to have dessert and drink this other amazing beer, which, you know, because we've run out of time, you don't get to enjoy with us.
Yet.
Just kidding. We're going to go ahead and let you watch that as an extra. So stay tuned for Saturday when we do this and that. We are not going to wait till Saturday. But until then, stay safe and drink your beer.